And good Tuesday morning. It is just past 11:30 here on Tuesday, February 23rd. And our author series continues today. And our author series has been going on since, man, it's been a couple months now. And let me bring the man who has the ideas and who has the answers. We've been doing this since what? The beginning of December, Frank?
Yeah, something that's certainly just before the Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa season, if you will. And it's been great. We've had a lot of terrific authors, learned a lot about them. Our only criteria is that they need to be either Rhode Island based or Rhode Island connected. And we've run the gamut from novelists to nonfiction writers. It's been terrific. Lots of talent in this area.
There certainly is, and I have lots of books to read. And our author series is sponsored by and made possible by Charter Books, which is opening at 8 Broadway in Newport. For those Rhode Islanders, it's the former Hope on Broadway, and opening this winter. So they have a couple more weeks to get this in.
Yeah, they better move it. We're running out of winter.
But what's nice is you can shop them now online at charterbookstore.com. You can enjoy free local delivery or in-store pickup. I actually went online over the weekend and ordered some of the books that we've been talking about, and I'm going to pick them up right from the store this week. So it's a great little system, charterbookstore.com, where we thank our friend Steve, Charter Bookstore, for sponsoring this series. And who are we talking to today there, Mr. Providence?
We're talking to Regina Andrews. She's a resident of Providence, grew up in Barrington, and she is the author of several books, an award-winning author. She has her book, Destiny Designs, won the AKW Books 2010 eBook of the Year Award. And she's should be with us momentarily, but we're excited to have her as part of our author series. Good morning, Regina.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me today.
It's great to have you on. And maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to be to writing.
Oh, sure. Well, I did grow up in Barrington, as you mentioned, and I always loved to read. I remember my mother always read to me, and I think that started my love of reading from early on. And I always loved series books as well, like the Trixie Belden series and all of those. So the story really never ended, which I always liked, because I always love a book, and when you get to the end of a good book, it's kind of a letdown in a way. You don't like to see it end, but it has to. So as I went through school, I always found myself writing and imagining stories, and then I eventually started to put them down. I would act them out a lot as well, but I got into less trouble when I wrote them down. So I started to do that, and then I became more interested in theory and in composition and how to really best get your ideas across and how to engage people. And so I went ahead in college. I double majored in literature and philosophy. And then I went away to graduate school, and I finished up my master's at Brown in American Studies, which is interdisciplinary as well. So I did my thesis on Nathaniel Hawthorne. Oh, and after that, I just always loved romance and inspirational fiction. So I started writing that as an escape from all the things that were going on in the world and everything that was happening during the day. And I was fortunate enough to eventually get my first book published on my parents' wedding anniversary. And
wow.
It was really great.
That's a great gift. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm on your website, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if people want to learn more about you or see any of the books, it's reginaandrews.com.
Yes, that's right.
All right. And there's a whole host of books on there, but they all seem like they're in a series and a theme. Why don't you tell us about them?
Okay. Well, we'll start, I guess, with my most recent series, which is called the Dunbar Falls series. The first book in that is called In Good Faith, and I have that here, just in case anybody wants to see the cover.
There we go.
That's our heroine, Haley Hawthorne, and she's a very, very successful art director in Manhattan, but she has to go back to her small town roots and confront everything that she's done in the past. And in the meantime, it turns into being a reunion romance, and she runs into somebody that she knew from far off. So that is the first book in that series, and I just finished the second book last week, so that'll be coming out soon. And that book is called Act of Faith, where characters from that Dunbar Falls series do recur. And one thing I'm also doing is a second series that I have in the works right now is the Designs of Life series with Destiny's Designs. I couldn't let that one go after I finished the first one. So I'm working on the second book in that series, but I'm having the folks from Dunbar Falls be friends with the folks from the Designs of Life series. So we're going to interconnect them. If I can keep it all straight, I've got a chart in the garage that's trying to keep track of all the people. But so that one is about a designer in Newport, which is kind of based in my own personal experience because I did work for an interior designer who was pretty well known for quite some time. It was very interesting. So, but the main theme in all of them is the presence of Providence in our lives and how faith does impact our lives or not, and how our destiny is in our own hands as well as being guided from above.
So you mentioned, or it's mentioned on your website, that you're currently working on the Sterling Lakes series. Is that yet another series?
Yes, that's a third series. That one has 4 books that are completed, and I'm on the 5th book of that one now. But I did take a break from the folks in Sterling Lakes while I've been with Dunbar Falls and the Designs of Providence. But the first book in the Sterling Lakes series was called Light of the Heart, and it's about a woman who is a stained glass artist, and she also is in sort of a small town, but she kind of makes it big, and she comes back to help the folks. And the whole town has had some problems with progress and with their economy and things that happen in real life, and it's not as vibrant and alive as it used to be. And they do work together, though. They try to work together to make the town better and deal with the issues in their own lives. There's adoption, and there's people with broken homes, and people who have real problems. They're good people with bad problems.
With all of these series and all of these books, would you characterize them all as romantic, inspirational fiction?
Yes, I would. There's always a happy ending, but there's lots of bumps in the road along the way, and curves and potholes.
How do you differentiate between the series?
Well, I think that the main difference is mostly in terms of, first of all, the Sterling Lake series is the arc of that one is a lot more complex because there's actually 9 books projected in that, and the first 3 deal with the past, the middle 3 deal with the present, and the final 3 will be dealing with the future of the town and with the people's lives and how they look at the world. The Dunbar Falls series is a pretty much cut and dry series about life, contemporary life, and how we deal with it. And the design series is more international, I would say, because they go all over the world because of the design work that she does. And the hero in that book, he's a America's Cup champion, of course, because it's set in Newport. And that's nice. So they go all over the place. And so that's why it's a little bit more international in flair.
Right?
Oh, I was just bringing them up, and I was trying to figure out which one you were, Mr. Providence, whether you were Light of the Heart, Angels of the Heart, or Glory of the Heart.
I like the word glory.
There you go.
We'll figure it out. Where do your ideas come from, Regina?
That's what I was just going to ask you a question.
I'm not quite sure. They come to me. The people of Sterling Lakes are always walking around in my head and telling me what to do. But that did kind of come to me all at once because I kind of had the idea for the whole series one summer night, and I wrote it all down and really tried to have an idea of where the storyline would go and how the journey that it would take people on in terms of spiritual development and, of course, engagement, because lots of fun things happen in the books as well. And then there's another book, The Spotlight on Love, actually that was inspired by my parents' own love story. That the heroine of that story is a nurse, and my mother was a nurse, and the hero in that he's a postal director. This is all during World War II, and that was actually a fairly true story, but I took a lot of liberties with that one as well.
Now, people, different authors say different things. Do you need to start from book one when you pick up one of these series, or you could pick up any single book and you'll be in the series and know what's going on?
That's a great question, Ryan. When I write the series, I make sure that each one can be a standalone. That's kind of what we call it. Each book could be read on its own, and you don't really have to be in order of the series. So we fill people in on who the characters are. We make references to them just in case somebody hasn't read the entire series up to that point. So it's okay to start in the middle and go back again and around. I think that's very important too, because it's kind of it's kind of overwhelming. If I think that I have to start at number 1 and go all the way through number 8, I might not do it. Except Outlander was really good, so you wouldn't want to not do that one.
Who are your readers? Are they men, women, younger, older?
I have. That's another great question. Thank you, Frank. There are mostly women, and believe it or not, and but the age range is very interesting to me because I have young adults as well as I think one of my oldest ones is 87. So it's a wide range of readers. And sometimes they tell me that they talk to their partners about it, and they kind of like it too. In fact, my husband is one of my primary beta readers before I send things off, just to be sure that it's got that oomph to it, and it's not too flowery.
Does he ask you? We've heard from other authors of they'll read something, and a family member, a loved one, will read your book and say, "Where does that come from?" Or does your husband, being married to you and these being romantic, inspired books, romance books, does he know where this is coming from?
He does actually. That's a great question too, because the hero of In Good Faith is he's an air conditioning expert, and my husband's in that field, and his name is Aaron Carrier, AC. They call him AC. So he kind of guided me on that one with some of the technical aspects of that as well. And some of my other friends are like, "Did you put me in? Is that about me?" So you have to be careful.
There you go. Go ahead, Frank.
I have a friend who is an author, Bruce De Silva, who has written a series of books, well received. He chooses the names for his characters from the people that he knows. He decided he wasn't going to make up names. He was just going to put everybody he knows in there and hope for the best.
Whoa.
How do you choose the names and how do you define your characters?
Yeah. Well, first of all, your friend is very brave. I try to stay.
Well, he moved out. He moved out of the area. We can't reach him.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. He's underground now. I understand why that could happen. Yes. When the characters are being formed in my imagination, they take shape, and then from their personalities, I try to make sure that their names are a reflection of their personality in some sort, or of their character as well. So, and I remember I had a wonderful professor at Providence College, Dr. John Hennedy, who was in a Shakespeare class, and we discussed this very thing about how important names are, and he went over that with us, and ever since then I've been remembering that it's very important. So lots of times the names will come to me though, and I'll sit there, and if I try to pin a name on a character, it doesn't usually work. But when it comes to me and it flows better and it feels right instinctively, then I kind of keep it. And I do ask my other readers though if it sounds good. And sometimes I'll like say I like the letter H, for instance. So then I'll have a Haley and a Harry, and then maybe a Helen, and it's like, no, you can't do three. I have to vary it up because it's confusing.
Uh, Regina, what's next? I mean, how often do you have a goal of how many books you want to publish? Do you have how many you want to be in each series? What's coming down the line in the book world?
Oh, great. Well, I would like to finish the Sterling Lake series. That's got 4 books finished, and there are 5 more to go. I have a rough outline of number 5 already, which is called Reflections of the Heart. The Dunbar Falls series, I just finished book 2, and I only see 3 in that series right now, but I don't know what the characters are going to do when I get to book 3. And with the Designs of Life series, I also saw 4 books there, and I have only just started book 2. So it depends on what happens in their travels, because she changes from being an interior designer to a luxury yacht designer. So they go around the world and they design yachts, and they get commissions and this and that.
So that's interesting. So you start out with book 1, and you have no idea how this is going to go or how this is going to end. There's not a complete outline.
Right. No.
And does your theme change throughout? Do you begin and wonder when you sit down to write? Have you outlined it with a beginning, a middle, and an end, or do you just have a beginning and let the characters take you where they may?
Frank, it's mostly a combination of both of those. I do need an outline and a rough sketch, but I need an idea of what's going to happen first. So I try to integrate the two of them when I'm getting going. So I need to know like what the whole concept and what the theme is. For instance, the book I just mentioned that I'm going to be working on, Reflections of the Heart, that one is going to deal with an unexpected illness and how people are around the main character and in the town all deal with that and respond to it. So there's
Is it going to be COVID?
No, no, it's not.
Not that it's a laughing matter, but it would be very appropriate.
I know it would be. But after that, after I get the general blueprint, I definitely need an outline, and I have to have a pretty specific outline. I guess some people are what they call pantsters. They just fly by the seat of their pants and they can write. I think a couple of my friends from the authors group in Rhode Island write like that. And I wish I could, because I could probably get a lot more done faster, but I just need to trim it down before I even get really into it. So I guess I'm a plotter.
Excellent. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, you know what? I do want to get to a question that's not related, but let me stick with this first. And just to give you a heads up, I was intrigued in reading your brief bio on your website about your hosting a radio show on for Insight, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about that, because that sounds pretty intriguing. But I wanted to ask about your locations. When you set the locations for your individual novels, are these places all that you're familiar with? And are many of them Rhode Island related?
Well, the ones in the design series are definitely Rhode Island related, because that's specifically set in Newport. The Sterling Lake series it's more like a general Rhode Island kind of Barrington area, kind of a small town by the lakes. And then the Dunbar Falls that's really kind of Western Massachusetts, sort of. But the design series, it does mention areas in Newport and specific references to Rhode Island. I didn't want to get too close to Barrington, though, and make it too specific.
Yeah. And then the radio program, if you wanted to take
let me ask one more question, book related. Your favorite author?
Oh, well, I love Daniel Defoe. And I love Shakespeare. I really do. So, and I'm loving that Outlander series. She's just fantastic. So, and Charles Dickens. So,
not too shabby, these writers.
a lot of meat. Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like
They might have some success in time.
I hope so. I'm rooting for them. We'll wait and see, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, with the Insight situation, that was a wonderful experience. Oops, sorry. I actually was partnered with a fellow from Warren, and every Saturday morning we would read the newspaper, the Providence Journal, online. So, and they used to have that feature. I believe they don't do that anymore, but that was a very, very rewarding and very interesting experience. We did that for years. So we would just sit there in the studio, and he'd take one part and I'd take the other, and we'd talk about the stories a little bit. And but we tried to stick to reading the facts most of the time.
Was there a reason that you were drawn to doing this radio series basically for the blind?
Yes, I'm very interested in the blind, and in fact, the book that I just finished now, the second book in the series, called Act of Faith, it deals with blindness and the effort to find a serum to help cure and prevent childhood blindness. It strikes close to my heart because I've had vision problems, and I know what it's like, and I can just imagine what it's like to have an impairment in that way. So I've been very cognizant of that, and I have a hereditary situation, so I wanted to give back.
Her website is reginaandrews.com. You can go on there and read more about her. You can see all of her books and much more about what she is doing. And you even find out about her fellow authors and friends at the bottom of the website there. Regina, did we miss anything today? Anything that we've got to bring up?
Yeah, I love to hear from everybody. The books, as you have mentioned, they're available through the website or on Amazon. But I love feedback. You know, anybody who would like to give me an idea of what they think, if you would like to let me know, I would definitely appreciate that.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Tina, thank you.
Thank you
And
very
good luck.
much. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the Association of Rhode Island Authors also. The ARIA group is very, very good. They're wonderful as well. So I want to thank everybody there too, because they're very encouraging.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Providence, that is the next in the latest in our author series. And if anybody missed this conversation or any of the other authors we've interviewed, they can find those right on whatsupnewp.com.
We're trying to connect with an author actually on the West Coast, and hopefully it'll work. Who has a new book that I think just came out or is coming out on Doris Duke. So could be interesting.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Providence. Well, we thank you for your time today, and we'll do this again soon.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right. I want to thank Charter Books for sponsoring this series. Again, Charter Books can be found at charterbooks.com, 8 Broadway, pretty darn soon. And if you missed this interview or any of the others, you can catch them on whatsupnewp.com, share them with your friends and family.